So, Ilana, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
Good.
Just a pleasure.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Do you mind? Would you share a little bit about your own journey, whatever background you think is important to share with you coming to write this book? Like, how'd you end up here deciding to
Right.
write this?
Yes, yes. Well, in brief, I was literally the quintessential good girl. I did everything, that I was told by my parents and my teachers, and I kind of feel I call it the conveyor belt of life.
Mm.
When I was achieving, I was doing, everything looked good on paper, and straight A student, Phi Beta Kappa, UCLA grad, studied math and economics just because it was simple for me. It was easier. And I spent the till really my early 30s uh semi disassociated. I
Okay.
call so really just not fully in my body, and really just kind of taking the easy path of easy and also excruciating of
Yeah.
doing what, like I found myself working on Wall Street in my 20s. I never wanted to work for an investment bank, but guess what? My dad did.
Oh.
So all these things. I ended up accepting a proposal of marriage in my late 20s, when my, like the volcano erupted in my belly as he's down on one knee proposing on the
Oh.
beach. And that was like inner guidance saying, no
Don't do
way,
this.
don't
Yeah,
do it.
but would you just dismiss it as indigestion, or you just like to
No, I just
detach from it, or
it I just I did, it was like the disassociate. It was like, okay,
yeah,
well, this guy is the perfect guy for my parents,
uh,
right?
perfect
Perfect
guy on
guy
paper.
on paper.
Yeah.
The fact that there was no chemistry, well, I'll deal with that later. I
Mm.
just, really just at that time, I did not have the courage to disappoint other people, to
Mm.
make other people have challenging feelings, as if it's my responsibility. So,
Right.
I grew up in codependent, all of that.
All this stuff. Yeah.
So then, early 30s, I'd been married to this guy for a few years, and I did a medicine journey with a Hakomi therapist in San Francisco. Meanwhile, the 4 years we were married, I was putting us both through the ringer. We tried everything, every course, therapist, this, that. And it was like I was trying to find this guy, in my heart. But the thing is, he was already in my heart. He was just not in my yoni. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm
Yeah.
just like, he didn't turn me on. So no
Right.
matter, so I basically had this journey, and at the end, the therapist said, well, where does this guy fit in? And it was so crystal clear, he doesn't fit in.
Oh.
And so I remember driving home to we had a real quaint home in Coal Valley, San Francisco, and like gripping the steering wheel and really summoning more courage than I've ever had in my entire life
Yes.
to come and confront him on the couch in the den, and said, I want a divorce. And he's sobbing, and
Oh.
I knew, and there's that part of you there was a big part of me. I was like, I could just make this all better. She
Right.
was just really taunting me. Just make it all better. Go sit there. Take it back. You can, just
Yeah.
hold
Yeah.
him. It'll
Never
be
mind. I
fine.
didn't mean it. I don't know what
No,
I said.
right,
Yeah.
right. And it
Yeah.
was like, no, it took everything, to just stay in my truth. And the truth, and the truth was that it wasn't right for him either, because
Yeah.
soon thereafter he met a person who became his spouse. They have two kids, happily ever after. So it was like I freed us both with the
Yes.
courage to that I didn't have those years before when he proposed. And so I had a friend at the time who was very involved in this pleasure community in San Francisco, right? And so there was a guy who led the pleasure course, and she would assist on these courses. So I was like, okay, I'm newly single. Let's go. Why not?
Right.
Had a great time. One day class, she was hosting it at her apartment. And then I signed up for the next one, which was a few months later and this is back in like May 2002.
Okay.
So quite a long time
A little
ago.
bit ago. Yeah.
A little bit, a little bit. And so I didn't even want to go to this class. I was like, oh, what else could I learn about? I did the first one. Luckily, I had prepaid for it, or I probably wouldn't have gone.
You would
Like,
have failed.
honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I prepay, fine. He won't give me my money back. Thankfully, I show up. I'm early, of course. I'm nervous. I go in second floor apartment in an inner Sunset, neighborhood. walk in, chill music is playing, pillows around, flowers, and I'm like, okay, I'm really uncomfortable. I'll go get a cup of tea in the kitchen. I go into the kitchen and I meet this man. And it is like that those romance novels. Like
Wow.
our eyes locked. I recognized him, even though we lived close by to each other. We hadn't met on BART,
Right.
the transit here in the Bay Area, or we hadn't met.
Wow.
But I knew, so this then became, his name is Bill, and we started that day as research partners, which was the term that this,
Okay.
pleasure exploration community called two people who wanted to explore pleasure and orgasm together and not be constrained by relationship dynamics, traditional relationship dynamics. So we had an open relationship for a couple years. That was fascinating and a wild ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then a few years later, we got married. We had a child, and then the our phenomenal sex life, as happens often, right? Kind of took a way back seat to the responsibilities of parenting, to the
Yes.
responsibilities of just having a household, take of life,
Right.
of life, and so then there became this, what turned out to be about a 12-year struggle of
Oh.
around sex, around intimacy. Like most couples, it's about 80%, I think, is the number that people in long-term couples have different desire levels.
Oh
So
no, it's 100%.
it's 100%. Well, there
Oh
you have
yeah,
it.
because
You're
yeah,
the
because
expert.
why? I mean, seriously, why would two people want exactly the same amount of sex? Like how big
Yep,
that gap is, or how
that's right.
problematic varies, but it's a
That's right.
hundred percent.
100%. Thank
Yes.
you. Corrected. I will now quote you as the sexpert that you are, because yes. So of course we're part of that because it's 100%.
Yeah.
And so, and not only it's like I have a higher desire. However, because there was so much built up, resentment, and I felt, hurt by rejection. So when he would approach, then I'd be like, forget it. No way. I'm like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
just the usual. We tried everything, sexpert advice, toys, ideas from friends, from therapists, the whole thing. Nothing really helped us. And so, however, we loved each other. We did
Hmm.
life good together. Our son is thriving. Our daughter, my bonus daughter, was thriving. It's just like we want to stay together, and yet I want to revive this part because this is really important. I can't, and we're in a monogamous marriage. We're not opening the marriage.
Right.
So
Right.
what's a girl to do? It's 2018, so this has been like a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm in riding with a friend of mine who is a single mom at the time, and we're both Jewish. And it turns out that I learned in Hebrew High growing up that there's different perspectives of the Jewish tradition that are very sex positive. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned that if you have sex on Shabbat, which is Saturday, which is the holiest day of the week, and some people say the most important holiday in the whole year, that goes from sundown on Friday to sundown on Saturday, then you get a double mitzvah, which is a good deed. So it's like
Okay.
you're getting good karma. You're
Okay.
building up karma by so here's my friend saying she wants to get her double mitzvah with a sensual consort. She wants a sacred consort on to get her double mitzvah on Shabbat. I was like, damn girl, I want that too. I want that. I really want that. And
Yeah.
so I was thinking about it. It's like, oh, this is the sure thing, the Shabbat unification ritual. Who doesn't
Huh.
want a sure thing on Shabbat? And of course, you practice the sure thing. There's a lot of practitioners who are not religious, who certainly aren't Jewish, who are spiritual, who aren't spiritual. It doesn't matter. It's just about being a sure thing. Well, there was so much buildup, as I'm sure you know from all your people you work with, the 12 years of it, well, 10 years at that time, that I felt like I was nervous. And I also felt like, well, I'm not ready to give this to him. I just wasn't ready. I just felt like contracted and
Mm.
calcified. So finally, in December 2020, I'm walking with a friend, and I commit to her that before the winter solstice, the longest night of the year in the Northern Hemisphere around December 21st, that I will invite him in. So at the time, into this practice, this
Okay.
weekly practice. And, we had just made it up, right? It was just like this stroke of divine inspiration. Who knows? So our son at the time had a Saturday drum lesson, it would happen. So he was in his lesson. I set up, brought my husband into our bedroom and we made love. And afterwards I said, "Hey babes, how would you like to have a weekly pleasure practice where we deepen an intimacy and connection with each other?" And he said, "Sure."
So the
And
sure thing is this weekly intimate date,
that's
basically,
right.
setting
It's a
aside time on purpose consistently.
That's it. And you set your own intention. Our intention is to deepen an intimacy, pleasure, and connection together. But you can set your intention of whatever it is. And then
Mm,
you fulfill that intention. So it all of a sudden is no longer about sex.
right.
It's about closeness. It's about turning towards each other and having a reliable framework to do that.
Yeah.
And so it was really miraculous and surprising that when I think back, it's been over 5 years now that we've
Yeah.
had this weekly practice. And it almost instantaneously dissolved because now no longer all of that gunk from literally
Mm,
12 years, because now it's like, it doesn't matter what happened back then because now we're both aligned
yeah.
on this practice. And sometimes one of us, it no longer is about, am I in the mood, are you in the mood? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure you know about responsive desire,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
course. So then when I learned about that about a few months into doing this practice, and then all of a sudden the effort of when I wasn't in the mood, which was often, just dissolved.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, just turn towards each other. Go into the bedroom. We made a playlist. That for me is really helpful, to have songs that really get me in my body and have me want to move and feel sexy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like encouraging each of us to find what it is that brings us into our bodies and has us feel like we want to become intimate and enjoy pleasure with ourselves or with, our partner.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I talk about is the difficulty with scheduling sex versus scheduling opportunities to be sexual. And you're saying, oh, set your own intentions. I guess I'm wondering, what if one person thinks, oh, we're going to have sex every Saturday, and another is thinking, wait, 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 let's just deepen our intimate
Yeah,
because I really think it's problematic to be really goal oriented in a space like that, right?
absolutely. And I worked with a couple exactly that. You can have the same intention, in the book I guide people to find their intention, how to find your intention. An intention is something that's going to really turn you on, light you up, and every time I say my intention, I'm like, heck yeah, I want that. So that's the kind of thing that you want your intention to be. So a couple may have the same intention or they may have different intentions. And so that was true with this couple I was working with. And one of them wanted to orgasm every time. That was what they wanted. And so that's great. So then during their sure thing, if that partner didn't orgasm and the other partner was fulfilled and complete, then maybe she would be there and witness. And maybe she wouldn't. But it's about each of us taking 100% responsibility for our own pleasure. And so,
Yeah.
so you can have different, you know, you can certainly have different intentions and respect each other's and take ownership. I mean, there's an exercise in the book about, what does that mean to be 100% responsible for our own pleasure?
Yeah, I talk about this stuff all the time. So yeah, definitely a problem if
Yes.
it's like I want an orgasm and it's your job to do it, right?
Right.
Like that's very different than hey, one way or another I can have an orgasm, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we don't have the expectations and you said the goals, it's amazing what happens.
Hmm.
Is because so much opens up, we can relax, and then inspiration and creativity. And because obviously the sexual center is our creative center, that's where we're you know, birthing babies, birthing creative projects and visions and so forth. So that's what I found in this practice is that every time we practice, it's like a whole world opens up that, exploring different things, saying different things that I never thought I would be saying, and so it's just wonderful. It's like this gift that, keeps surprising me.
Right. So you're talking about exploration. Like what's the state you would encourage people to show up into this space with? Like what's important to bring in here and is it about exploring, doing new things? Is it I don't
Unless
know. Like
that's what
what's
you want to. And
okay.
that's the thing. You follow your own desire. And so there's a whole part in the book about, you know, building the I know what I want muscle. Because many of us, certainly me, and
Hmm.
especially women, are looking to please everybody else. What does everybody else want? And then ignoring and cultivating that muscle and habit and knowing of what it is that I want. So
Yeah.
we have to know what we want before we can ask for it. So we practice, knowing what we want. And then
Right.
we practice asking what we want. And it's a practice, not a perfection. So
Yeah.
I encourage people to, start with an intention, start with, agreement. Okay, get it in the calendar. And then when it's the time, you turn towards your partner and be like, okay, it's our time. And so wherever you want to start that, you can start. There's all kinds of suggestions, ideas. I mean, it's limitless, only limited by our imagination about
Yeah.
how we can get ourselves prepared, what we consider a sure thing, right? Everybody, you determine what a sure thing is for you and how we're going to practice a sure thing. So some people like to take a bath. Like that, I have a friend who's like her partner knows she needs a bath before they're going to start. Another friend of mine has her partner knows she wants to be anointed with holy oils. So if there are no oils, she's an absolute no. We're not starting there.
Right.
So it's like, and I just encourage that there's openness and curiosity
Yeah.
to begin. That's it. Just be open and curious. And I'll say
So,
one more thing
oh yeah,
to
go ahead.
just one more thing about um, often our sure things begin if there's no kind of preparation, taking a bath or massage or something with, well, the simple question, what would be most pleasurable right now? So if I'm practicing with myself, I'll ask myself that, and then I'll lovingly give that to myself. If I'm practicing with Bill, then I'll ask him or he'll ask me, and that's kind of like a central, like a focal point where we can always come back to that. We
Yeah.
can always come back to that question if something's feeling, whatever would be most pleasurable right now. It could be like a head massage. It could be like rubbing my feet. It could be dancing. It could be taking a bath. It could be, kiss my
Could be
neck.
anything. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
anything, right? It's feeding me some food that I love to eat. It's anything.
So what might be going on if somebody resists this? Because I'm imagining, oh, one person hearing this or reading your book might be super jazzed about this, and they may have a partner that somehow is hesitating or unsure or
Yeah.
resistant in some way. Like what could be
Yeah.
going on and how could somebody approach their partner about that?
Yeah. Well, tenderly and with openness, of course, is approaching the partner and with curiosity.
Yeah.
And so depending on the dynamics of the relationship, and like you said, 100% of us have different desire levels. 100% of us have, baggage and have had experiences where we've been rejected, where we may have felt abandoned by our partner, where we put out our hand and it got slapped, you know what I mean, instead of taken. So all of that could be going on, right? You don't know what's happening with your partners
Yeah.
unless you ask. And if you're really genuinely wanting to know, right? And so this is what I advise many people to start your own. Start the solo sure.
Mm.
Begin to take 100% responsibility for your own pleasure and start your own practice. And then continue to check in with your partner and ask them what do they want? What is their dream for your connection, for your closeness, for your intimacy? What would their intention, if they could create just what would their wish be? And
Yeah.
just ask, and they may not know, and that's okay. That's a great place to start. I don't know. Wonderful. Well, could you just live with that question?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that Rainer Rilke quote, just live with the questions and eventually we'll be living the answers.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, in addition, I mean, as I'm gathering little threads as you're talking. Some of the benefits of this, right? There's, or things we're practicing, taking 100% responsibility for our pleasure, learning to connect with what I want and to ask for that, to advocate for that, to be responsible for it, deepening connection with our partner. Is there anything else that's coming to mind that we're really achieving in this practice? Like on a,
Yeah, what we're achieving also is there's a whole chapter that's called Shame on Who. So the elephant in the bedroom, I call shame.
mm,
And wherever we're at, I have encountered over these past 5 years, when I'm really open and out there, there will be this little like, judgment. I'll notice, I'll be like, wow, where did that come from? Well, it could be the patriarchal, puritanical society, in the air that we breathe, right?
right?
It could be a parent or some other authority, in your life. Perhaps something happened when you were a child. And so, shame is used to that we use it as a weapon against ourselves, right? And
Hmm.
it shuts us down, and there's all kinds of research about how shame ostracizes us and isolates us. And so there's a whole exploration of how we can address it and how we can shed ourselves from the shackles of shame.
Yeah. That seems really important that we're going to run into, I mean, much deeper or meta, I guess, concepts or influences in our lives that we can transform with in such a simple practice in some ways, right? Simple and yet
Yeah, profound.
deep. Yeah, profound.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, yeah.
Anything else I forgot to ask
Totally.
you that you want to make sure to talk
For sure.
about?
I'd love to talk about at the end of each chapter is a love ripple. It's one small, doable action that may be taken from some of the information in the chapter that where you can practice sharing love, where you can
Mm,
practice connecting with others, where you can practice deepening in intimacy with the world. So the first one in chapter one, for instance, is encourages readers to go out and tell three people in your life one thing you absolutely adore about them.
mm,
And I encourage people to do that, in person, heart to heart. And then just notice how that feels, how they received it, how it affects the relationship. So those love ripples are about, cultivating this self-love, because I really know that it all begins and ends with self-love. The
right,
more
right.
I love and unconditionally accept myself exactly as I am, the more love I'm going to bring into my relationship, into my family, into my community, and of course, ripple into the world.
I love
So,
that.
yeah, so that is the bigger overarching project of this book is the Sure Thing Love experiment. Can a weekly pleasure practice change the world? It sure changed my world.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's see if this is, the antidote to the poisonous cruelty we see, on the
yeah,
streets in this country, and in our communities now. Could this be part of the antidote to that, where
mm,
we intentionally cultivate joy and intimacy and pleasure and turn towards each other to sustain us? Because there is science that says, pleasure and joy feed us, they are medicine,
yeah,
for our bodies, and they sustain us for the long haul. And so to continue to act with courage and kindness, I really am wanting to, and it's just the perfect time for this book to come out, because I feel like we all need to be resourced and resilient during what's happening right now.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, great. So where say the whole name of the book, where people find it, anything else you want to
thank you.
mention about where they should go or learn more?
Fabulous. Yes, yes, yes. It's called The Sure Thing, a pleasure practice to revive the spark. And so you can find it at surethingexperiment.com. That's my website, surethingexperiment.com. And sign up, become part of the Sure Thing Experiment. And if you enter your email address, I'm going to be offering the Sure Thing 2026 Spring Challenge. So you'll find out about that. That's an online offering, and we'll be having Sure Thing community, love experiments that'll be popping up around. So to just stay in the loop, you can sign up there. You can also find the paperback book, which I call a playbook because it's very interactive,
Right.
lots of exercises, lots of guided journeys, and journaling pages. So you can just write in there. And really, the intention of the book is that you have a roadmap for ongoing, reliable, sensual fulfillment, and that you can return to it, hone and tone it, and just have it as a resource in your life to inspire you in your sensual and sexual fulfillment. So the paperback is available on Amazon and also the ebook. And the ebook is also available on Kobo and Apple and also somewhere else. But on my website,
Yeah. Go to
you'll
the
know.
website. You can follow all those threads. Well,
That's right.
great. Thank you so much.
That's right. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a joy.